This is a Security Weekly production.
This week on the Stogie Geeks Show, we've got a fantastic show lined up for you. Fabian Barrantes joins us again.
Hey.
This time, he is the Director of Marketing and Sales at IndianHead Cigars. In our Debonair Ideal segment, we're going to talk about some great things that can happen once you gift someone a cigar. And in our Stogies of the Week, we're going to review everything that we've been smoking, which for me, it's kind of all tasted the same because I've had a cold. So we're going to rely on Will for our Stogies of the Week segment, all that and more. So stay tuned.
Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geek Show. Brought to you by CAO has brought you iconic cigars over the years. Brasilia, Italia, La Traviata, done in a playful nature with a unique twist. Travel to the exciting world of CAO and back in just under an hour with any of the groundbreaking CAO World Blends. Test the boundaries of style with new age brands in the 95 rated Flathead. Honor the past with new classics like Pilon. Treat your palate to an array of flavors with Soulfire and Moon Trance. At CAO, the experiences are limitless. So what's your next move? The highly sought-after Punch Rare Corojo is back for 2016. Rare Corojo is made with a dark Sumatra wrapper and fillers from Honduras, Nicaragua, and the Dominican Republic, giving you a powerful yet rich smoke. These highly coveted and revered cigars are only made in small quantities once a year, so get them while you can. This is a punch classic that you can't pass up. M. Bombay cigars represent the most admired cigar culture of Cuba. They select the best of the best quality tobacco to use in the aging process. M. Bombay cigars are then rolled in Costa Rica by some of the most experienced cigar rollers, giving it a unique smoking experience. The band portrays the detailed and artistic nature of our small industry. Try the M. Bombay Casera, M. Bombay Mora, and the recently released M. Bombay Habana. M. Bombay cigars, where the cigar is a way of life. Duran Premium Cigars, one of the fastest growing boutique cigar companies, providing smokers a portal into the old Cuban tradition of perfect balance and the lost art of progressive flavor construction. Roberto Pelayo Duran began his career in tobacco over 2 decades ago in Havana, where his reputation grew within Cuban circles. The creation of Duran Premium Cigars has given Roberto the platform to introduce a series of cigars that offer the same quality, construction, and detail which he perfected while in Cuba. Brands include the ultra-premium Roberto P. Duran Premium Cigar Series, Bazan Cigars, Nea, and Baracoa. Duran Cigars uses a seed-to-humidor approach, as all tobacco is grown on their farms and rolled in their factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. Rollers have been carefully chosen to carry out Roberto's precise method to ensure progressive flavor in each cigar. Duran Cigars invites you to make their premium your standard.
Welcome, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. I'm your host, Paul Asadorian, brought to you by Sudafed this week. It's tough to host the cigar show and have a cold at the same time, but enough about me. I'm toughing through it. More importantly, we've got our very special co-host on the lines, Mr. Will Cooper, on the lines from North Carolina via Skype. Welcome, Will.
Paul, I felt your pain. I mean, I was there. I can tell you.
It happens,
Yeah,
you know?
it happens. It was, yep. So, but the show goes on.
That's it. The show must go on. That's very, very well put, Will. The show must go on.
Yeah.
Want to welcome all of our new listeners from some of the different podcast networks that we're on. Of course, this week was a big announcement from Google in the Google Play Music Store. You can now listen to podcasts, including the Stogie Geek Show. So welcome all of our Google Play subscribers, in addition to SoundCloud and Stitcher. So if you're listening on those platforms, welcome. It's awesome to have you here. Thank you for listening to the show, where we talk about cigars, and we try and we're pretty good. We're pretty good about sticking to that. Will, we interview people on cigars, and I think our Debonair Ideal segment is definitely one that speaks to more of a lifestyle, but always ties back to cigars, which is always fun. And then our Stogies of the week this week. I'll talk about a couple of cigars. I didn't put any up this week. It was hard to smoke with a cold. So I never like to review a cigar if I had a cold and smoked it. So I did smoke one before I got sick. And it was actually one that was associated with our next guest. So, Will, why don't you introduce our special guest for this evening?
Oh, so we welcome back to Stogie Geeks. He was on probably about, I want to say, a year and a half ago. It's Fabian Barrantes, who is now with IndianHead Cigars. And we're going to get into, I think IndianHead Cigars, just kind of covering the cigar industry. It's a big deal, and we'll get into it with Fabian because I think this is going to be a major impact that we're going to see on the cigar market going forward. So, Fabian, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I know it's been forever. It's been about a year and a half, almost 2 years since I've been on the show, so thanks for having me.
Wow, that's right. No problem.
And you were on a very popular segment here on the Stogie Geeks. Well, I mean, you're a good-looking guy and all, but you also had some lovely ladies with you the last time that you were on. Which I think
last time I had some of my vinegar friends that were working with us at the moment, and I guess they were top-rated shows, huh?
It was, and this one will be too, because like I said, you're a good-looking guy, so people should tune into the video.
I know.
They didn't know Fabian before that show. They knew him after that show.
Right. So, Fabian, how did you come about to be the director of marketing and sales at IndianHead Cigars?
Well, pretty much my relationship with Hochi Blanco, pretty much. Mm-hmm. We go back for plenty of years, and I brought, the last 3 lines from Villiger to Hochi. He helped me out a lot on the blending and getting those things together with those brands, and they were a pretty good hit for them. So kind of everything happened at the same time with IndianHead and Hochi, and he wanted to finally do his own line. Mm-hmm. And he had some.
Fabian, for those that don't know Hochi Blanco, can you describe a little bit about him?
Well, Hochi Blanco, 3 generations grower in Dominican Republic. He's one of the top 5 growers in Dominican Republic of tobacco. He's been a manufacturer for about 2 generations, 3 generations in the tobacco business. So he pretty much makes cigars for a lot of people. A lot of the Dominican tobacco that comes out of Dominican Republic or Dominican blends, you'll be surprised it has some of his tobacco in it. So behind the scenes, he's been big, in companies, blending cigars. He has a lot of hits, a lot of great ratings with a lot of brands. So he does this for the love of it. The kind
of the way to describe it, Fabian, is he's like a blending consultant. So he has farms and tobacco, and he kind of works with multiple different companies to make cigars. Is that true?
Correct. Yes, he's a manufacturer first, a grower manufacturer. He's been making cigars for a lot of companies in the cigar industry. So now it just happens that it's time to make his own brand. And focus.
And so, which brands has he been bringing to market? La Galera is one. Are there others as well?
Well, yeah, because that goes back into Hochi Blanco acquired IndianHead Cigars.
Okay.
That's what Will was mentioning before. IndianHead Cigars was a company owned by Bill Bach, and it had been established, I believe, since like 1995, 98 or something like that. And it really took off in the 2003 area. He was selling a lot of naked bundles, low price quality cigars. He did a lot of distribution for Donovan, for Plasencia. Mm-hmm. He sold a lot of sticks. So in the Dominican part of the tobacco, Hochi was his supplier for the past 30 years.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So La Galera is a brand under IndianHead Tobacco, is that correct?
Correct. IndianHead Cigars, IndianHead Cigars is the company. There's no IndianHead brand. We have other brands that have the trademarks, and those are the ones that have been successful under the IndianHead. IndianHead is just the company.
Okay, so underneath IndianHead, we have La Galera, and what are some of the other brands?
Well, we have Cuban Aristocrats. We have Rough Rider Sweets. We have Cuban Twist. We have, what's the other one? Tropical Delights. We have Premium Value Honduran. And we have two more that I don't want to divulge the names yet, but those are a couple that have been pre-names that have been established in the market and have been selling since 2002.
Okay. Now, Tropical Delights, I imagine that that's a flavored cigar line.
That is a flavored cigar line.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I enjoy infused cigars as well.
We do.
You know, so that's cool.
So we have something in the works for that. You know, maybe later this year or next year, we'll have something special for that.
That's awesome. So, go ahead, Will.
So Fabian, this acquisition of Indian Head happened, and I'm assuming kind of in parallel were these plans to launch La Galera, which is a whole new brand under Indian Head. And was it like the perfect storm where really both of these things came together, and he's working on this project, and now he acquires a company which gives him the distribution arm here?
Right. Well, he had been thinking of La Galera for a long time. Mind you, a lot of the tobacco that he's using on this, he had been perfecting for years and years ago. So the right moment came. Bill was a great friend. Like I told you, Hochi was his Dominican supplier of cigars and tobacco from Dominican Republic. Bill was retiring. You know, his wife was ill at the moment. So he pretty much, the only person he wanted the company to take over was Hochi, since they were so close. And it was around the same time me and Hochi were talking about the whole situation. We looked at the company, and it was a win-win. It was a perfect venue, a perfect distribution venue as well in the U.S. to go ahead and launch and work on La Galera and finally on his brand. So everything kind of worked out at the right timing.
So in the La Galera portfolio, what are some of the blends and sizes that you have available?
Well, La Galera, the first one I'll show you is La Galera Connecticut. As you can see here, it's a Connecticut Ecuador Piloto Cubano binder. And the fillers, what's special, the Piloto Cubano, the Criollo 98, and the Dominican T112 filler. I remember going to Hochi's Farms back in, I want to say like 2010. And he was working with the Institute of Tobacco on a hybrid seed. And he named it T112 in some of his farms. And this was back in 2009, 2010. So now is where that filler, he's able to go ahead and utilize it for this Connecticut blend. And you had it, Paul. You had it earlier. This one, the one you were talking about.
I believe I smoked the Robusto size.
Right. So it comes in 5 sizes for what we did. This is what we did. We did 5 sizes for the U.S. market. As you can see, the box is very slim, and is the only box that comes four in a row and 5 down for a box of 20. So it's very shelf friendly. You know, I designed this box with the intentions to be shelf friendly for the retailer. You know, one of the problems we always have talking to retailers is shelf spacing. So how do we, be able to design something and come up with something for the market that we're able to go ahead and, establish something real nice. So
and that's smart, Fabian, because I know a lot of retailers, them are friendly with, excuse me, several retailers here in Rhode Island. And when manufacturers will come out with boxes and let's say it's 10 cigars, and there's 3 different sizes, and the cigars are from left to right, and 1 cigar per slot, and they're really wide boxes, and then they have to have 3 of them to display all the sizes. It takes up so much shelf space, and they complain to me about it. I'm like, don't complain to me, but so I can see where slimming down that box and stacking them a little higher is helpful to retailers.
Exactly. So that was the concept of La Galera in Connecticut, a beautiful design. The great thing is that Hochi really entrusted me on coming up with the design of the box, coming up of the actual band, which is beautiful. So the La Galera Connecticut comes in 5 sizes. Like I said, this is the European version. I mean, the U.S. version. Then we came out with 3 sizes for the European market, which are wide box, like a regular box, and 2 rows of 10. Like those smaller ring gauge sizes will be in rows of 10, and it will be in a wide box. We actually launched La Galera in 12 countries the first of the year. So we really went ahead and went big, with Ho Chi, with so many distributors that he works with and stuff like that.
So,
We
Fabian,
actually,
in the U.S., which sizes are available in the U.S.?
as of right now, we are launching all of them.
Okay. In the U.S. as well as
Yes.
in Europe. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, just really quick, I did smoke the Robusto before I had a cold. I smoked it first thing in the morning with coffee. It was very much a traditional Connecticut. In a lot of Connecticut's that are coming on the market today, try and redefine the Connecticut. They try and put, strength or spice or pepper. But for me, the La Galera was a very well-balanced Connecticut. It didn't try and do anything fancy, which I appreciate, because I think a lot of times Connecticut's today will go off in one direction or the other and kind of lose that Connecticut appeal. Like, I want a mild cigar that has flavor, that pairs really well with coffee that I'm going to smoke in the morning. And for me, the La Galera hit that mark perfectly.
Right.
And it didn't delve into some of the other Connecticut's, which can be too mild or too grassy or too bitter, right, is the other kind of problem areas that Connecticut's fall in. So it's kind of like that. There's that sweet spot for Connecticut's for me, and it fell in that sweet spot. And I was like, wow, I would smoke this in the morning with coffee in my regular rotation. And not a lot of Connecticut's earn that a seat in my regular morning smoking with coffee rotation, which is a very elite group. So I would definitely smoke it then.
Yeah, but that's pretty much what I'm getting all through the country. I'm already been traveling the last month, 2 months all through the country, and this is the same thing I'm getting, even from guys that are not a big Connecticut fan, that they like the real, either strong Connecticut or very mild Connecticut. This is right in the between, in the sweet spot.
Right.
So that's
what's the price point on the Connecticut in the U.S. market?
That's the great thing about the Connecticut, that the price point starts, even with the European sizes in the U.S. now, you're looking about $3.50 all the way up to $6.10 for the biggest size, which is a 60 by 5.25.
And I find that a lot of smokers that I talk to are gravitating towards Connecticut's. And a lot of them are regular cigar smokers like myself that want to have a cigar every morning, right? And they kind of fall into this rotation. And now they've got a lot of options. But what they're realizing is they can't go to that $7, $8, $9, $10 range and have an everyday smoke. So there is a market, I firmly believe, and I'm not really an expert, but I see this market developing for Connecticut's in that $6 and less range that are really good smoking Connecticut's in that medium, kind of flavor profile that people are really gravitating towards. And you're getting, I think, a lot of new Connecticut smokers, and they're realizing that there's value there. That Connecticut isn't that really mild thing. And, hey, I tried this other one from a manufacturer, and it was, like, way different. It was, like, too different for them for a Connecticut. We get those ones in that right price point with that right flavor profile, and I think there's really a firm place in the market for those. And at your price point, I think that's fantastic.
No, I agree 100%. Ho Chi was really involved in like saying, listen, I want to have this price point hit the right marks for the consumers. He wants them to have a great premium product at an affordable price nowadays. Like the Robusto is $4.95 plus taxes, and depending what state taxes as well. The Toro is $5.75. So you're still under the $6 range on an everyday smoke. These guys is really what they're looking for. And for that sweetness, for that nice and white, to me, it's like a white peppery spice to it, but it mellows out and becomes very creaminess with a nice aroma and flavor. That was the focus of La Galera, Connecticut. And I think we hit it out the park. And Ho Chi did an amazing work with the blending with him and his team.
I agree. Will, what are your thoughts on the Connecticut while we're on the subject?
Yeah, I smoked it as well, and the one thing that really you hit on is a lot of times with Connecticut you get that bitterness. There was just no bitterness on this thing, and a lot of times we talk about cigars. They need time. This was ready to go right out of the box. I kind of agree with your assessment on this. It was by Fabian's actually with the white pepper as well. I enjoyed it a lot, and it is a great. I mean, it's a great value. I think a lot of people are going to be turned on to that cigar.
Yeah, one thing that we did is all these brands, like Galera and everything, was actually ready last year at the IPCPR show. We had the boxes there. We didn't have a booth, but we had the boxes. We had the samples, and we just didn't want to launch anything because Hochi really wanted to be able to have the tobacco and the cigars, everything well rested. We didn't launch in December in the last quarter because we wanted to launch with the entire launch with the European countries as well. So like I said, we launched 12 countries off the bat. So come January 4th, all of a sudden in our warehouse and distribution center in Miami, I have all my sizes ready, ready to go. So it was a big undertaking that pretty much we didn't want to go ahead and rush it. I think the problem with a lot of brands or blends is that people try to rush it. And I think the best thing is to let a product like this, like in our industry, is to rest and make sure that it's right. So when, consumers and real cigar aficionados smoke it for the first time, they say, oh man, this is amazing right now. They don't have to wait 3 months to let it sit.
And you also have a Habano. Tell me about that blend.
Yes, so let me show you the Habano. You guys are smoking it right now.
I am, yes.
Beautiful. We did boxes of 21, 3 rows of 7. So you can see how beautiful this artwork really is. It is a Habano Ecuador with a Dominican Corojo binder. The filler is Piloto Cubano, Criollo 98, and Pelo de Oro. So you guys, you know how rare Pelo de Oro is. And Hochi has been having it for a while, but he's been saving. There's a lot of, Hochi has a lot of tobacco, and he's just been waiting for the right moment to.
We call that hoarding. He's hoarding it. That's fine. He
Say
can
that
do
again?
that. Yeah, I said we call it hoarding it. He's hoarding the tobacco.
To me, it's really he's doing a different fermentation and really getting the flavors marinating on the tobacco. How about that?
There you go. There you go.
So he's been, getting the tobacco ready for special blends. And, La Galera Habano is really a beautiful gem. We got to print this out of Holland with the best printers in the world as well. So I was very excited to work with them. I was able to design this as well, the box and everything. It comes in 4 sizes and 3 more for the European versions. And the same thing, now they're available here in the U.S. Again, price point, you're looking about $4.95 to about $8.20 retail.
So do you make one in is it a 6x52 Toro?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's what I'm smoking right now.
6x54, correct.
6x54. Okay, yep, that makes perfect sense. That's what I'm smoking now. The construction is impeccable. I have a cold, so I'm kind of doing a disservice to review it. I am enjoying it, but I do have a cold, and I'll wait till I get over my cold before I smoke another one. But it is very enjoyable.
Right.
Yeah, I this cigar I really am enjoying. I've smoked it before already. Fabian, we talked a little before the show, and you said something, and I think it nailed it with this cigar. In my opinion, this is a textbook cigar that is showing something could be medium strength and medium body and full flavor. You're not getting a nicotine hit. It's not weighing heavy on the palate, but the flavor's just all there popping out right now.
Exactly, and the whole focus of that blend, when Hochi did this with his master blender, was the flavor. Hochi loves really flavorful cigars. It obviously that first little light up, the first little edge gives you that nice black pepper spice to it, and if you retrohale, you feel it a little bit more. But the flavors was more important about the enjoyable of the cigar, and also this the wrapper's been aged so well, and it's like a 2007 Habano, so it's amazing that we've been able to do some great blends like this, and this one is pretty much one of those top notch, and the pricing is just perfect.
It's interesting. I have a tough time really quantifying what a classic flavor profile is for a cigar. But in smoking two of your different lines in the La Galera, I really get that it's just very classic flavors.
Yeah.
And I mean that very positive light. And I think a lot of times, like I said, cigars will have those components which are ones you would expect from some of the Dominicans that you smoke that have a bitter component to it. And then you smoke a lot of this new stuff, and there's so much stuff going on with it, right? I mean, they're really breaking out of the norm. And neither one is wrong, but there's kind of this category of cigars for me that have that classic flavor, and it's a tough thing, like I said, to quantify. But that's how I would describe the La Galera line. And it's a compliment. I know it's kind of weird because I can't really quantify what it is about it, but it has that like very. Do you know what I'm saying, Will? Like I don't know if you want to weigh in on that too, but you know, you and I review a lot of cigars, so there are certain ones for me like this that are just classic.
Yeah, you're not gonna get the blueberry muffin flavor of it. You're gonna get, this is a cigar. I mean, you're gonna get that tobacco. You're gonna get the flavors are really coming from the tobacco. Is how I'm kind of deriving both of these blends.
Which is weird because like a lot of times we say, well, you know, it tasted like it had a classic tobacco flavor. Well, of course it did. They're all tobacco, but there's I don't know. There's ones that kind of embody that I think differently than others, and some do that I think better than others. And La Galera was one that you know, I definitely appreciated. Like it was not, I don't want to say getting back to basics, but it is, and in a really good way.
Exactly. It's really what's supposed to be a cigar that's very enjoyable, you know, the classic cigar. And like I said, you know, the whole point is everybody that's been smoking the Habano and the Connecticut, they've always been, you know, looking at something special. And they're like, I'm used to paying $14 for something like this. How do you do it that that Toro? That Toro is really retail $7.
That's pretty good. That's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah, no, you know, and here's the other thing I'll take from these two blends. And I've smoked a lot of Hochi stuff, and I love a lot of his stuff. This is still like nothing he's ever done before, is what I'll say. It doesn't taste like, and I can't, you know, I'm, you know, there's nothing else out there that he's done that I can say this tastes like. This is just different. Yeah.
But you know, that really speaks to someone who's a master of their craft, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of friends that are chefs and a lot of friends that love to experiment with cocktails, right? And what makes them masters at their craft, in my opinion, is that they're able to do completely different things, right? They kind of make like what you're in the mood for. Like you can tell them, you could tell Ho-Cham, I'm in the mood for a cigar like with this profile. And he probably has like a blend in his database in his head that says, yes, this is the one. And it's my same friends that like make cocktails, and I'm like, I'm kind of in the mood for something that's like this. And they can create something in that flavor profile. And it goes back to what you said, Will, is, you know, this is different from everything else that he's done. And that's really a true master of the craft, is they're making different things that are enjoyable, and they're what you're in the mood for at that time, but all very different by themselves.
Look at that burn. And
I noticed that too. Now, I've only smoked two. I've only smoked two of these, and everyone knows that I have Paul syndrome. So Fabian, if there is 6 boxes in the humidor that come in to like a local retailer, and I pick one of the cigars out of those 6 boxes, like I'll get the one that has some kind of construction problem, right? And I totally understand it's a handmade product and everything, but we call that Paul syndrome. Like I get the unlucky draw more often than not.
Right.
But with your cigar, the burn, draw, and construction has been impeccable in the 2 that I've smoked, which is interesting because, like I said, if I smoke 2 out of your whole production line, like how many cigars are you releasing this year in these two runs?
Well, we're doing, you know, all the sizes, and we pretty much, I mean, think about it, 12 countries, we're releasing a lot of sticks.
Tens of thousands of cigars, right? At least. Yeah.
And more about the hundreds of thousands, probably.
So hundreds of thousands, I'll be the one to pick the 1 or 2 that have a construction issue, right? But I didn't, so you're good there.
Awesome.
So that is La Galera. Are you going to do any limited editions, or like can we look forward to anything at IPCPR in terms of La Galera line extensions? This
year, pretty much La Galera is going to be brand new to the IPCPR world.
Okay.
You know, there's going to be a lot of stores that have heard of it, maybe have tried it, and they want to bring it in at the show. We've been really busy. I pretty much have great lineup of brokers that have come on board. I pretty much have 95% of the country covered already. So these guys have been really working real hard. I mean, if you think about it, just in January alone, we moved, 2,500 boxes or something like that. So La Galera is getting out there. So it's brand new to the market. We didn't want to go ahead and do too many wrappers. This is the focus right now. These 2 wrappers, we want to focus on this. We might have a special limited 80th anniversary because this year is the 80th anniversary of Tabacalera Palma. So if we've been working on that for about a few months already. So if that's ready,
Wait, so Fabian, for those that don't know, what is Tabacalera Palma?
Well, Tabacalera Palma is Hochi's factory. That's the factory that pretty much makes a lot of cigars for other companies. That's the company that pretty much is in Dominican Republic. That's where we pretty much ferment and work on all the tobacco that's done or used with La Galera and other brands.
Gotcha. Will, more questions?
So I'm sure a lot of people's heard of, Tabacalera Palma here and there being done in the Palma factory in Dominican Republic.
Will, more questions for Fabian?
Yeah, I actually want to talk a little about this. What is the story with the brand name La Galera?
Well, I'm glad you asked. La Galera is actually the original name of the rollers room. In English, you could call it La Gallery, but La Galera is the rollers room. So go to any factory anywhere in the world and ask, can you take me to La Galera? And they'll take you to the rollers room. That's the original name. So like I said, Hochi wanted to bring out something very special, very traditional, and very classic. So this was special which to me is remarkable too, that the name was available when it was trademarked, because it's one of those things like, wow, how could anybody in the past 30 years that didn't think about this, But it's a great name. Every size has a different name because of the factory or components of the factory. Like the Toro is a lector, which if you guys know back in the days, the lector, which is the reader, used to pretty much be on a big stool reading the newspaper to the rollers as they worked. And it was more efficient for them to roll cigars as they hear the daily news. So the Toro size is called the lector. Then we have the Bonchero, which is a smaller size. But the Bonchero is the Bonchero, and then Pilon. We know what the Pilon of tobacco is. That's the big ring gauge, a 60 ring gauge in both lines that we're calling a Pilon. So we're using names from that are involved of the factory.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to the production guys, and they weren't cigar smokers when they started here in Security Weekly Studios and working on Stogie Geeks. And I'll tell them sometimes, I'm like, you guys are doing a great job, except you have to smoke more cigars.
That's right.
They're kind of like
right,
this shock look at their face, like, oh crap, I'm doing something wrong. I'm like, you got to smoke more cigars. So I'm educating them. And we may
create a monster though, Paul.
That's
Be careful.
Right. You're going to smoke all my cigars. But I was telling them, like, some cigars I smoke will have this construction problem or that construction problem, or they'll smoke a cigar and they'll say, like, it's smoked differently and this and that and the other thing. And a lot of it comes down to the bunching, right? Like you said, like how the cigar roller rolls the cigar. So, for you to create this line of cigars kind of in honor of them is kind of timely, because we've been educating some of our staff here about, some of the differences and how it's a handmade product and how just small variations in that bunching process can contribute either negatively or positively to your experience of that cigar.
Exactly.
There wasn't a question there, just a general statement. we're just talking.
Yeah. So that was the concept of La Galera, was pretty much the factory and the romance of what the manufacturer really is for the consumer, in order to see what comes about of, what Hochi calls it. The factory is really where the magic happens. The rolling room, La Galera, is really where the magic takes place. So that's one of the slogans we have. That's where the magic happens.
Fabian, you I've known you for a long time, and one thing I've always loved the artwork you've done on your cigars. And you've always, I think you've had a good way of bridging that contemporary and the classic together. And this band, I just really got to take my hat off to you guys with this band.
This band is it's gorgeous.
Absolutely.
It is. It's gorgeous.
I look at this and I see the message of La Galera right on this thing. Based on what you say, it's that I get a picture of the Dominican Republic and just a classic, the whole cigar theme with that.
Thank you. Well, it's actually one of my favorite bands up to date that I've done. I mean, to me, it was beautiful. When Hochi told me the first time about La Galera and what he had been thinking about. I was actually with Villiger at the moment, and I was just like, oh man, that's going to be a great thing for you. Later on, I was no longer with Villiger, and we started talking about it again. And he showed me he had been working with a couple designers and a couple, big guys in the industry. And I like the stuff they did. And coming from a design background, I actually told them, like, listen, it doesn't give me the feel of that it should give me when I see this band. It should tell me something about your factory. It should be, something special. And right now it's just missing that. So he told me, all right, well, put something together for me and come back to Dominican in about 2-3 weeks, and then we'll talk about it and see what we do from there. I ended up, that was doing Pro Cigar last year. And I was having a conversation with his wife, and one of the topics we were talking about La Galera and this and that, and what I had envisioned of the brand. And I started asking her questions like, what does represent? I want to have the family involved somehow, because this is this is like, his baby. So I want to be, sort of like a calling card for him, for his history. So I asked her, what would represent you in, maybe a slogan, maybe a picture, a rose, something. And she told me, she's like, well, for me, the thing that I love the most is the beach. And she's like, when I'm there, I'm happy. To me, being in Sosúa and Cabaret in Puerto Plata is one of my favorite times. So that gave me a great idea. I'm like, okay, how can I incorporate the beach? His 3 kids, his oldest is Daniel. He had a heart transplant a few years ago, so I knew I wanted to incorporate a heart in there. His middle son, Jose Blanco, which is the next Jose, he's a great basketball player. He's like 6 feet tall already, and then he's only like 16 years old, and he's a great ball player. So I wanted to put a basketball, and his daughter, she loves ballerina stuff, so she's always doing ballerina classes. And I know this because I spend so much time with the family that I got to be really have something personal right now. So if you look at the band, let's see if I could put it without the shiny.
Yeah, it's tough to get the glare.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed about the band, Fabian, on the
there we go.
Habano, is there's a tobacco curing barn, right? Also known as Casas de Tobacco. Is that what I'm seeing there?
Correct. So if you open up the band, in the right side, you see the lector. That painting is actually in Hochi's office. That's a painting.
Wait, which is that? Is that the person sitting down?
Yes, that's the lector reading to the rollers. If you look at the band, is the rollers. They're rolling the tobacco right there.
And then on the other side is the Casas de...
The other side is the farm. And this painting is actually in the factory in the packaging room. So these are 2 things that we saw. He always wanted to use the lector for the main image. Yeah. But I remember seeing this painting, and I've always liked it in the packaging room. So I took a picture of it, and nice. I was able to incorporate it. And of course, the tobacco plant. The funny thing about this band is I did 3 different versions, and went back to Dominican Republic 2 weeks after we had this conversation, and we were in his backyard. It was just 5 of us. It was me, Hochi, his wife, Vinny, which is his nephew, which is his right-hand man, and he runs a lot of the things with Hochi in the factory. He handles a lot of the La Galera internationally too, so he does amazing work. Vinny's pretty much the backbone of getting everything done, and his wife. So us 5, we were there, we were having cigars, we were smoking, and we were having some drinks, and we were talking about the 3 different designs. Now, everybody gravitated to this design, to this main design, and the only difference was I actually had roses, and instead of roses, Hochi said, listen, I would love the tobacco leaf, the tobacco beautiful plant. I would love it there, and I actually had these coins and this ornamental design in another band. So they just requested like, oh, let's just do those 2 changes, see how it looks. And at the end of the night, it was done.
That's awesome.
So there's a lot of things involved here. Obviously, we have the Tabacalera Palmas, the new signal here as well for the farm. We have the Dominican flag. So everything's incorporated that something is special in the band. It's not just, oh, let's design a band and just put a name on it and make it look pretty and that's it. No, everything, every little design in there is something special. And the more you break down and look at the design and look at the concept of it, the more you see like, wow, this really was something that was thought of, but at the same time, it just came together at the right time.
Yeah, Fabian, I do like actually that they did put the tobacco flower. I actually got to see a tobacco flower for the first time last year in Honduras. I was actually there because when they were blooming, and they are really when you see them on the plant, it really looks nice.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see if you could see it. You could probably see it here on the box a little bit better, the design.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
So yeah, it's been really my favorite design. I was able to work with, like I told you, Ryder from Holland. They did amazing work. We printed the Connecticut out of Cigar Rings, which did an amazing job as well. So we were able to do two different things, different price point cigars, but also we went ahead and captured what we wanted with the brand, which is a classic, timeless brand. We didn't want to, it's not a gimmicky brand. It's not something that we wanted to be, good off the bat and then forgotten. This is a classic that will be remembered for years to come. And that was the focus.
So some of the other brands, Fabian, tell us about some of those other ones that would particularly appeal to our Stogie Geeks listeners.
You mean the other brands of like what we're coming out with IndianHead and stuff like that?
Yes, that's correct.
Ooh, all right. This is special because I gravitated to a lot of the names that IndianHead had. Obviously, you can't trademark anything with Cuba in it, but first use he's been using Cuban Aristocrats. It's been selling for so many years. Cuban Twist. There was another one that really gravitated to me. It was called Rough Rider Sweets. Now, when I heard that, I was just like, whoa, that name sounds funny. But I looked at the cigars that they were selling, and they were like sort of like these backwoods type cigars, flavored. And I thought it was pretty cool. They did super well in the market. They sold a lot of those. But I think there was something missing. And every time, since, I travel the country a lot with my reps and I work, different, areas. And I've always heard so much that the market needs another, but a regular, mild flavored cigar. Not flavor, but lots of tobacco flavor wise, but with a sweet tip. But it doesn't give you the look of you're smoking a flavor cigar. A lot of these guys like to actually smoke this flavor cigars, but they don't want to look like, hey, I'm smoking a flavor cigar with this fruity band,
So true.
So when I heard the Rough Rider Sweets, I automatically came up with the concept and the look of it, and it just popped in my mind, and I'm like, this is something that I've actually thought about, a while ago, and I'm like, this is kind of cool. So I'm gonna give a Stogie Geeks exclusive. Nobody's seen this yet. We haven't put this out, so I'm gonna show you right now the actual final product. How about that?
For Rough Rider Sweet, and this is not an infused cigar.
This is not an infused cigar. This is a mild Connecticut, Dominican binder and filler, and Ecuadorian Connecticut as well. But all it has is a sweet tip. So when you smoke it, you taste that sweetness. Yeah. And as you smoke, the flavor of the tobacco marinates on that sweetness, and the sweetness eventually goes away. Now you're smoking a cigar. It's not flavored, it's not infused, and nothing like that.
Nice. I like that concept a lot.
Exactly. So this is the Rough Rider Sweet, guys.
Nice. Very nice.
Oh, wow.
That's really cool. Yeah, that doesn't look like I'm smoking a flavored cigar, right? The band is, yeah. No, that's really cool. It looks like a cigar that...
looks like a cool guy cigar, doesn't it?
Yeah, like a guy would pick up and smoke and be like, yeah, I'm not, smoking anything that looks like it's a flavored cigar, but it's a regular cigar and it just has a sweet cap. And I really like cigars that have the sweet tip or the sweet cap on them.
Exactly.
I don't know, there's like, I don't want to say there's a time and place, but like you get in a mood where you're like, I want that kind of experience. I find too, if my palate's really tired, I'll reach for something that's either infused or has a sweet cap to it to kind of like rejuvenate my palate. So that's really cool.
Exactly. Yeah. So the Rough Rider Sweets, 25 in a box. Amazing blend. Like I said, it's very mild, but it's mostly about your really mild guys that just want to taste a little sweetness in the beginning,
Right.
And being able to go from there. You know.
Well, you know, it's interesting. A lot of times I'll reach for coffee when I smoke a really mild cigar, and that coffee, because I drink it black, might have a little bit of a bitterness component to it. And now I drink really like high-end coffee, but even when you drink a really nice cup of coffee, there's a bitterness component to it, and that's not a negative thing. A bitterness can be a very pleasurable experience, but I like to offset that sometimes, that bitterness, with some sweetness as well, which is why a lot of times I'll reach for an infused cigar or one with a sweet cap like that, because you get that sweetness that kind of balances off with a little bit of that bitterness in the coffee.
Exactly. So the Rough Rider Sweets, I made it a very cool, edgy, you know, old school with some wings, and says Rough Riders on top. Rough Rider Sweets.
Nice.
So it's, I mean, if you're smoking a cigar, your friend next to you is going to be like, hey, that cigar looks cool. What are you smoking?
Right, right.
You know?
You don't have to tell them that it's got a sweet cap on it. Then he might make fun of you.
No,
we don't want to judge. Don't judge. That's one of the mantras we have here in the Stogie Geeks is not to judge, right? You're smoking a cigar. Don't judge it by the packaging, by the whether it has a sweet cap or infused or the size. Like, don't judge.
Yeah.
Smoke the cigar and form an opinion on it and try different cigars. And maybe you've never smoked a cigar with a sweet cap on it, but go ahead and try it and see if you like it, and try ones from different manufacturers and see which ones that you like the best.
Exactly.
Yeah,
imagine having this cigar retail in the $4 range.
That's awesome.
You know?
Yeah, and you put it like in a very, a premium type of box too. I mean, so for that price, what you're getting, it's really nice.
Exactly. This box is up 25. We decided to come up with 4 sizes, but we just actually decided to add an extra size. So we will have a Lonsdale 6x44 as well. These cigars will be launching in about a month. They'll be ready. Actually, packaging and everything is already at the warehouse. So it's just putting them together. So I should be having them pretty soon, and I'll have my reps all with them.
Fabian, is that a reblend or is it just a repackage that you've done?
Well, Rough Rider Sweets, like I told you, it came in a box of 50 of like sort of a backwards type of smoke. You know, something like very just unrolled, hand rolled, not pressed, like a real shaggy foot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wish I had some here, but I don't. But it was that, and then it had one more size, which is a Robusto. So it did well in bundles. It did not have a band. It didn't have a look at all. It's just the name was trademarked. So now what we decided to do is go ahead and do a special design for every single one of them. So this is the design concept I came up with, the Rough Rider Sweets, and now we're going forward and pushing these sizes. And also we're still going to continue with the smaller one with the shaggy foot as well.
That's great. That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's...
Fabian, you mentioned something about a Cuban twist. What's that cigar about? The name intrigues me.
Yes, so Cuban Twist, they... Bill had a Cuban Twist in a box of 25, no band. It was just a simple box from Honduras, and it came in like a San Andres wrapper, but it just said Cuban Twist on top. It was pretty plain. When I saw it, I'm like, wow, such a great name and such a plain, cigar and such a no band whatsoever. So I told Hochi, I'm like, Hochi, man, this is a great name. Let's go ahead and, do the same thing. You have some great San Andres tobacco. Let's reblend it and put it out there and let me work on the band. And so I'm actually going to give you Stogie Geeks exclusive number 2.
Wow, we're blessed tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
This is the Cuban Twist.
Oh, wow.
Nice. So it's kind of like a box bundle. Is it like a box on the bottom, or is that?
It is called a bundle wrap that goes inside the wrap.
Okay.
So I made it very traditional, very old school looking. Back in the day, Cuban. I put Miami on it and stuff like that. Bunch of coins. So the anillo's beautiful as well, red. And this is this is an inexpensive bundle that moved well for Bill Box. So this is going to be our bundle line moving forward. So this is the focus with the Cuban twist. It comes in 4 sizes and should be in the market as well next month.
And what's a bundle retail for?
That bundle will retail the smaller size, which will be Robusto, should retail in about, I want to say, $47, $48.
Wow. And it's 25 cigars?
It is a bundle of 25.
That's awesome. I actually have a lot of people that ask me. It's interesting. A lot of people will ask me for recommendations, and it's all over the map, Fabian. And they'll say, I want to spend a good amount of money on a cigar. It's a special occasion, and I want to I got a pretty high budget, and I want to just get one really good cigar. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, people say, hey, you know what? I just retired, or my job schedule changed, and I'm coming to the lounge every morning because our studio's right next door to our lounge. So I talk to a lot of different cigar smokers. They're like, hey, I'm coming here every morning. They're like, I can't break the bank smoking a cigar every day. They're like, what do you recommend for a good budget cigar or even a bundle cigar that I can work into my regular rotation, that I can smoke on a regular basis and I'm going to enjoy, but still have budget to go buy some of my premium cigars that I smoke a not so regular schedule. So bundle cigars, I think, get a bad reputation. I think people kind of dismiss them. But there's a lot of people who are looking for that kind of that value in a cigar. And I tell you what, the bundle cigars that I smoke, I think they incorrectly get a bad reputation, and people just kind of dismiss. It goes back to our mantra in the Stogies, right? They'll just dismiss it because it's a bundled cigar. And I'm like, well, have you smoked it? Well, no. I'm like, so how can you say that? You haven't even smoked a cigar, right?
Exactly. No, and a lot of retail shops sell a lot of bundle cigars. I mean, they even have, those bins, the $3.50 to $2 bins that move a lot of, bundle sticks. So there's a market there that, we need to take advantage as well and go ahead and introduce a great blend with a great name. And again, you won't look like you're smoking a cheap cigar because
the packaging is nice.
Packaging is great. We went ahead and did, gold foils, embossing, and the whole nine. The same things we would do to a big premium brand is the same thing we're doing to all of our brands. Right,
and that's great. I mean, we did a segment on the last show talked about golf, and with the weather getting warmer, well, at least here in New England, right? In Miami, the weather's always pretty nice, but here in New England, there's a golf season. And I think it's great that you can buy a bundle of cigars for $47 and share them with all of your friends and have them smoking cigars. That's a great thing, and not worry about, hey, if someone smokes half of it, you're not heartbroken. I'm not giving them a $30 Padron and they're going to smoke half of it, and I'm crying because they wasted half of a $30 cigar. So bundle cigars are great for situations like that.
I agree. Yeah, that's so those were 2 of the first ones. There's still one more that I would like to show you guys.
Yeah, please do.
Sure.
Another Stogie Geeks exclusive.
Wow, we got 3. This is awesome.
Awesome.
And these are the ones. I mean, these are the ones that I got the samples, and there's only 2 people that have this. It's Ho Chi Minh Factory and myself, and so I have it here. Like I told you, Rough Riders was one. We wanted to focus. Because to be successful, not only with IndianHead, but also with La Galera, we wanted to be able to have a nice portfolio going forward. That's why La Galera comes in Connecticut and Habano. Mm-hmm. Then the IndianHead brands, we needed a bundle cigar. We have the nice sweet tip cigar. And now we need another value, great product. And I'll tell you about the 4th one as well. But this one is the Cuban Aristocrat. So I wanted it came in bundles. It was 3 wrappers, Connecticut, Maduro, and Sumatra. And it came in bundles, very plain band, just said Cuban Aristocrat, and it said a secondary band in the foot that said Maduro or Habano. So I wanted to go ahead and do something nice with that brand, and this is what came out. Let's see if you can see it.
Oh, very. So you've transitioned from bundles to boxes?
Yes.
Okay, and that looks like a more traditional, box you would get at a Cuba, almost like a more cardboard box.
Yes, this is cardboard box with filete. This is what the edging.
Yeah.
The edging. This
Very
is
nice.
the original artwork of the Aristocrat back in the 1500s.
That's awesome.
So
Wow.
I was able to work this together with our printers in Holland, Brida, and I designed the band, I designed the box and everything, and they had the original artwork, so we were able to put together the whole packaging. The band is beautiful.
That's awesome. And that's
That is
another
really nice.
That's another I wouldn't want to say value priced, but it's on the lower end of the spectrum of pricing.
Correct. I mean, you're talking about a box that will probably, in the Robusto size, it's about, I want to say, $75 retail.
Okay.
$75 retail of one of the wrappers.
That's awesome. And you said that comes in Maduro, Connecticut, and San Andreas?
And Sumatra.
Sumatra. Okay.
And Sumatra. So beautiful design. I mean, this right here, I wanted to come up with something that looked very traditional, very old school Cuban-esque, especially the name.
No, you nailed it.
So, I mean, if you look at it, again, we printed this out of Holland, the best printers in the world. And for a value price product, it's incredible of how good it looks. It really looks very old schoolish to me. And that's what, to me, this sometimes is more valuable of the new shiny boxes that are available now.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, so, very nice.
Yeah, so that's the Cuban Aristocrats. Should be available. That's actually going to be available early June, and we'll be ready at the show.
Awesome.
So those are 3 brands. The last one is American Stogie's War Hunter. American Stogie's was actually a great brand that did well for Bill. He had it in different wrappers, different sizes. I think he had too many sizes at some point. That kind of took over, being focused on the actual sizing of it. He did well on like the double Toro, double Robusto, so thicker ring gauges. So I with conversation with Hochi, I told him, like, listen, we need a big ring gauge. There's still that phenomenon here in the U.S. that people still like those big ring gauges, and we need to have something available as well. So I designed a tray that's really 11 inches wide, and it fits 36 sticks. It fits 12 6x60s, 12 6¼ by 63 Salomon, and 12 7x70s. So imagine the 7x70 retailing at $6.50.
Nice.
Perfect point. Yeah, way underneath on a lot of 7x70s out in the market. If we came up with a great blend that would work with that 7x70 ring gauge, and also there's a little slot. I wish I had it here, but I actually have it in my warehouse. In the slot on the left side by the 6x60, you have 36 small little Penatellas that come free for the retailer, where they're able to go ahead and refill those, buying those later, or sell them for 99 cents, which is the same tobacco that's made in the 70s as well.
Very cool. Oh, that's awesome. Will, closing questions for Fabian?
Yeah, we get a lot of questions where you could buy the cigars. So you said that you're hitting most of the markets in the U.S. So I guess folks in most regions can expect to start to see all this stuff coming soon, right?
Correct. We have already taken over a lot of areas. Like I said, I just got back this morning, 7 a.m. from San Francisco in the Bay. We got a lot of great response. We're in about, I want to say 80% of the stores in San Francisco already, and the Bay Area, all the way to Sacramento as well. Same thing with Southern California. We got reps all through the country. We have a lot of stores in Texas, Florida, Kansas, New York has been doing well, South Carolina, North Carolina, the Virginias, Georgia, Kentucky. So we've actually for a new company that actually started, we've already done like a lot of the market. So it should be in a lot of stores now. So if you guys are very interested in trying La Galera, just go in, and you might be lucky and be in your store already and try it out. Or if it's not, just ask ask the retailer, hey, have you heard of La Galera? I kind of want to try it. What do you think about it? And we'll make it happen.
Awesome. And then as far as the other countries, what we get a lot. We have a lot of overseas listeners and international listeners. Where are some of the other countries they can find the cigars?
Germany, Switzerland, England, Asia, Austria, I believe, and what's the other one?
Australia? Australia's a tough one.
No, not Australia. You got me on that one. Sweden, I believe, is another one, and they're finalizing a few other countries right now.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, so all through Europe is starting to grow there as well.
Awesome. Well, Fabian, thank you for coming back on the Stogie Geek Show. It's been a wonderful educational experience to learn about all the different brands and lines that you're offering, and I can't wait to try more. I'm certainly impressed with the ones that I've smoked. So, again, thank you very much for appearing on the Stogie Geek Show.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. Next time, like you said, I'll bring pretty girls because since it became one of the highest rated shows.
That's right. You got to bring.
We're gonna work on that.
We'll work on that. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Fabian.